I should do this every night. This is fantastic. Thank you all so much. You know what? I think this crowd has gotten bigger even from the last time I was here. And this just really lifts me up. I'm so excited to see so many of you here. And let me just start by saying thank you. Thank you so much for your support in this last campaign and for your continued support of the work that we're doing in Washington on your behalf. I guess the last time I was here was shortly after inauguration. And I think there's a Chinese proverb that says, "May we live in interesting times." And I'm still holding out as to whether or not that's a blessing or a curse. But certainly we are living in interesting times, and I'd love to give you a little update about some of the things that we've been doing in Washington since I last saw you. So many of you know, in January, I introduced a bill to remove Steve Bannon from the NSC. And for me, as somebody who's worked in the Department of Defense, has been involved in the conversations that you have around national security, I know that our all-volunteer military force would just fall apart if they knew that the decisions that sent them into harm's way were made for the benefit of one person's political gain, as opposed to for the safety and security of this nation. And so that bill, thanks to you all and your support and your continued advocacy for it, gained over 180 co-sponsors. It's probably one of the most co-sponsored bills in Congress this session. And it lit a fire across this country where people got behind it because they knew it was the right thing to do, that politics doesn't belong in national security. And I'm proud to say that last week they removed Steve Bannon from the National Security Council. That was definitely the right thing to do, but it happened because of you all and because of the effort that you put into championing what is right. So thank you for having my back on that issue, and I think the outcome was the right one. Another thing that we've been up to is about a couple weeks ago, I had invited during the President's, not State of the Union, but the joint congressional address, I invited Dr. Mark Levy, who was a part of the surgical team at Orlando Health after the Pulse nightclub shooting. I had invited him to be my guest as a way to make a point that it is well past time for us to have common sense gun safety measures passed in this country. And recognizing the political environment that we're in, the first bill that we pushed out there was one to remove what has become an essential ban from federal dollars being used in research for gun violence. But I think that, you know, we make the best decisions as a nation when they're well informed by data and by facts. We should never be afraid of them. And so for 20 years not to have the ability to apply federal research dollars towards an issue that is affecting our country significantly is something that we have to change. And it's one small step, but I think it's an important step in ensuring that we have the right information so that we can address the gun violence issue in this country. So that's being pushed out there right now. I'm looking for Republican co-sponsors. I've gotten a lot of Democratic co-sponsors, and that's going to be something that we'll be working a lot on. The other thing is that since I last saw you, I've been around the community trying to do as many listening sessions, meet and greets. This week I'm just finished the third of 6 coffees. It just has, and it's come have coffee with your Congresswoman. Yes, I'm lots of caffeine, so it's good. But it's been an awesome opportunity for me to connect with people on a one-to-one basis or in a small group setting to really hear what's top of mind for all of you. And I really believe that my responsibility to you all as your representative is to go beyond that title and actually listen to you and represent your ideas in Washington. So I would encourage you, we have 3 more in the community over the next few weeks, or over the next week. If you haven't been already, come and join us for coffee and let me know what's top of mind for you. Let's see, what else? The other thing that is a huge issue that I hear during these sessions is the concern over our health care. And a couple weeks ago, the Republicans pulled from they pulled the vote for this American Health Care Act. It was an act that would have caused 24 million people to lose access to health care. It would have raised the price of health care for people between the ages of 50 and 64, right at the time of their lives where they're about to go into a fixed income situation, and the difference between $4,000 a year and $17,000 a year is going to make people have to make really difficult decisions. And it did nothing to lower premiums. So I think we all dodged a bullet in the fact that the Republicans couldn't pull enough votes together to move that forward. I think that, and I've always said that the Affordable Care Act has its flaws and that we need to make it better and to ensure that more people have access to affordable health care. And that's what I'd like to get us working on. Unfortunately, the rumor has it that the Republicans have yet another attempt at the health care bill. And unfortunately, I haven't seen what's in it. And so they continue to build this legislation in a dark closet somewhere without the input from the people or even engaging with Democrats. So that vote's coming up here soon, and you have my commitment that I will continue to fight for affordable, accessible health care. And I would love to be able to do it in a bipartisan way. But in the interim, we're going to push back on any attempts that to undo what we're doing. And then I guess the last thing I would say is I hear all over this district, how are you doing? But they're not asking me like, how are you, the way you ask somebody casually. It's like, how are you? And what I'm saying to folks there is that, it sounds like a lot of chaos, and the news cycle can be very intense and very worrisome sometimes. But what I'm trying to do, and what I encourage my office to do, is focus on Central Florida and be below the noise of the chaos Congress and the administration. Be below that and focus on what matters to folks here in Central Florida and continue to represent those interests. And so with that, I would say, reach out to our office. We are doing lots of great constituent work, helping people get their benefits, navigate the bureaucracy, working through the immigration process. There's just a lot of work that can be done on your behalfs outside of the chaos of what's in Washington. And when we're in Washington, we're focused on issues that matter to you. So continue to communicate with my office. Let me know what you care about so that we can continue to represent you. And I will do my best to keep my head underneath all of the churn, focused on what matters to you all here in Central Florida and doing my best to serve you. And unfortunately for us, while I'm focused on doing a good job, this is a 2-year gig, and so the next cycle has already begun. Anybody who's driven on I-4 and may have seen that. I'm focused on doing a good job today, but in 2018, I'm going to need you all to have my back, and we'll be reaching out as it gets more appropriate and closer to that time. And in the interim, please continue to communicate with my office. I love hearing from you all, and thank you again for letting me be here tonight, and thank you for letting me cut in the middle of the programming. But thank you again. Couldn't do this without you.